Good morning and welcome everybody to Magic in Mind today. It is the 29th of April today, so we're coming up to Beltane. The veils between the worlds are thinning, and today we are going to be working on releasing and celebrating and healing with our Seer, working with the Laguz rune. So I'm going to get the Laguz rune up for you. Now I would love it as people come and join me in the chat if someone would let me know if you can hear me, because I've had some mic problems as we started. So it'll be very sad if I have no sound, but hopefully I do. I'm just finding the Laguz rune for you. So Laguz is the rune of water. It is the rune of, it's a rune of healing. It's a really healing rune. It's a healing rune, it's a cleansing rune. It is a rune that represents those gateways between the worlds, and particularly the seen and the unseen. Good morning, Meggie, lovely to see you. Let me know if you can hear me. And see, Maggie's put a little hello in the comment box. So please do, when you arrive, say hello. And it's always lovely to know who's here for this waning moon. This is a waning moon session that we're doing. So we're going to be doing, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Laguz rune and how you can work with the Laguz rune as your for your Seer self. It's very elusively hiding from my rune set here so that I can't share it with you. Typical. And so we're going to go through ways in which we can work with the Laguz rune for more than the murk stave and the bright stave. So those, here we go. Here is my Laguz rune. Hello. So here's our Laguz rune here. You can sort of see there's a L. If you turn it upside down, it looks a little bit like a wonky L there. But there you go. Now all of the comments are flooding in now. Lovely. So Suki's skidding in late. You're absolutely perfectly on time, Suki. I was just making sure, doing a bit of sound check with people before we got started. So we're looking at the Laguz rune here, and the Laguz rune is going to be our patron for today. And when we work with the Laguz rune for seership, we're often told that this is the bright stave, or the well aspected stave, the right way up. And here we've got the ill aspected or murk stave, whatever you want to call it, that's going to offer the negative connotations of the Laguz rune. So you might think about this as being the sort of stagnant waters, the inability to move forward, the inability to access healing, the being stuck in our emotions and not allowing them to move through. Laguz is often seen as a feminine rune, by the way, and I do remember in some of the books that I've read, it will say, this is a positive woman in your life, and here is a negative woman in your life. I have to say I've never had a reading where that might be the case, other than where I've gone, which rune represents like this person right now. But I know that's the way that some people work with them. Laguz is often connected to the goddess Frigg. So it's this divine feminine energy coming through a different manifestation to Bacano. It's much later in the Elder Futhark. So it's this sort of mysterious, almost like priestess, sorceress self. So you can see it as part of your magical self, and we're working with it as the Seer. And Frigg is known as a seeress. She's known as a weaver of weird and a seeress, and she's also known for keeping her silence. And this is another one of these aspects of water, that we can have the flowing water, the sort of the energy moving through us, the words passing through us if we're speaking oracle, for example. And we can also have that stillness and that silence. Morning, everybody. We've got lots of people here today. Lovely to see everybody in the chat box there. Before we get started, I'm going to ask you, if you don't have already, and I do always recommend to people when you come to these sessions, have a glass of water to hand, because we often do sort of a little bit of energy work. So if you don't, get yourself a glass of water, or a glass of liquid would be fine. If you're watching this on the recording, please put #replay so we know that you're here, but you also have the advantage that you can pause at this point and go and get your water if you don't have it. But if you are with me live and you're able to have a little glass of water to hand, we're going to be doing some practical work. So it'll be great if you can have a glass of water to hand. Hi Tracy, lovely to see you here from Australia. Good night to all from down under. Lovely to see you there. We get so many people coming all from all over the world to these. I love it. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to expand this bright stave and murk stave, because I think this is one of the challenges for the Suzanne says, is gin okay? I'm going to say a no on that, Suzanne. That's my instinct. My Seer self is saying no, not the gin. Not for this particular ritual ceremony, but yeah, you can use other types of drinks as well. But we're going to be doing a bit of meditative work. I know you were asking a little bit as a, you were winking me a little bit there, but it's a valid question, isn't it? Is alcohol always appropriate for magical work. And sometimes it is, particularly sort of a small amount for celebratory work. You know, if you've done the symbol right, there can be quite a lot of mead being passed around. We can get a little bit giddy at that time. But for the fact that we're doing cleansing and healing, you know, is makes that a little bit difficult, because it clouds our intuitive, instinctive self. Now, it's almost that sense of when we use alcohol, we're sort of doing it to remove our inhibitions, aren't we? But those inhibitions are also the interface between our subconscious mind and our conscious mind, and that the sovereignty of the self. So actually quite an interesting subject there that you brought up, Suzanne. Maybe we'll do another live on it at another time. But for our seers, you know, we are people who, you know, like water, we take on the energy that is around us. And it can actually be quite disempowering for us to only have two states of being, namely, everything is good or everything is very bad. You know? And when we do readings and things, and we're like, you know, with readings, it can be like, oh, this is a terribly negative card and that's really bad, and then we get into that energy. You know, we can actually feel the energy. If you're a reader, and if you're a kinesthetic reader, or any type of reader, really, a visual reader, an auditory reader, you become immersed in the energy of the reading and the energy of the person that you're reading for, often as well. And so if you've got a really doom and gloom reading, you're in that energy, whereas it could be like, no, I want all the positive. But life isn't actually like that. Life is an interweaving of positives and negatives. I often think about negative energy as just being energy that's in the wrong place, you know? So if we say there's some energy that's really in the right place, you know, I'm aligned right now, I'm attuned right now, and there's some that's not in the right place, then the Laguz rune can be a little bit more like, oh, you know, how do we work with those nuances? So I'm going to suggest to you another way of playing with your Laguz rune and playing with its associations and expanding into it as a reader. And for this, I'd like you to see the shape of the rune. So often we see the shape of the rune here, and we see it as being, sometimes I see it as a tap, because, you know, that's like the water coming down, or a waterfall with the water sort of streaming down, or somebody like a little fishing rod going down and getting the treasures from the deeps. We can see that as well. Or we can see it as a leek as well, with the root I want to say, you know, the main body of the leek, the trunk, is that the right? And then the little leafy bit at the top, because it is the rune of water, but it also has this connotation of fertility and the plant life growing as well. But what I want to suggest to you now is that we look at the Laguz rune and we see it as being at the top, the crest of a wave here, the little crest of a wave, the surface of the water. And then down here we have the deeps, the still waters, the depths of the well, or the ocean, you know, the sea, the deep lake. You know, and so we have these two different energies of water. We've got an energy that is at the surface, or it's movement. There's power and there's movement. And then we've got the depths, where there's darkness, there's stillness, there's rebirth, there's silence. So you think about the silence of Frigg. And we might see this as being maybe conscious forces that we're aware of, and down here we've got the unconscious forces as well at play with the Laguz rune. So if we see that, then we can see this Laguz rune when it's upright, when it's sort of well aspected, as being the interplay between the deeps, and the energy is rising up, and that it is coming to the surface, and it is there, and it is available for us to work with and move with our Laguz rune. There's a nice balanced movement between stillness and movement, giving voice and silence, being on the surface at the conscious level, and being on the deep unconscious level, or the collective conscious level that we have that's available. The gateways are open. You know, the veils between the worlds are available for us to peep through. We can draw wisdom up to ourselves. The leek is literally growing out of the soil. You know, so there's life. It's the life force that comes through. Whereas if we turn our rune now, this is one of the things that the books don't tend to cover, because it's complex. You know, it feels complex to us, and you know, it would take a lot of time on a book to sort of say, like, this way and then this way. Well, what about that? Well, we might look at that in a moment. So we're turning it this way. So what does this mean then? Is this ill aspected, or is it well aspected? Because most of the books will do that and they'll do that. But if you have your runes and you scatter them down, you could get it looking quite wonky. So if we've got it flat here, we can see this now as being like the becalmed surface here. And to me, when this rune comes up like this, it can often be inviting us into an invitation to rest. It's saying you need to sleep, you need to rejuvenate. There isn't, much movement here. When I feel that, for you, this will be, well, am I a kinesthetic reader? How does this work for me? Do I feel it in my body? How do I work with my rune? I see this as being literally just like a little root reaching down, but not too far. I'm not going down into the depths. I'm not going into the well of weird. I'm not going down into the space of collective wisdom. I'm going into sleep and rest. Suki says sideways looks like digging. Yes, it does, doesn't it? It's like almost like the flat surface of the earth here. Lie down on the earth, and a little bit like a seed, perhaps, that needs to put its roots down first to receive the water and the nourishment before it would ever reach up towards the sun. No, so it's that you don't need to work for it. You don't need to do more. You need to stop and you need to rest. Now, that's not a positive connotation or a negative connotation. It might be received that way by somebody if they're like, no, I've got so much to do. I've absolutely got to get on with this. And you're saying, and we need to be in a rest place. Or it might be someone who goes, oh, I really needed that affirmation because I can feel that need to rest and I wasn't giving myself permission. So there's no negative or positive. There is an invitation into a particular way of being, a particular set of actions, in this case inaction being the way forward. So that's one of the ways that we can read the rune. Let's turn it again. So now we've got this, and please do, it's lovely if you pop in the chat if you're here. What do you see? What do you see with this rune? And Suzanne said with that one, yeah, it might be a need to ground, and that's very true as well. You can see it as our feet on the earth, couldn't we? In this exchange of what it's called, I'm going to get it wrong, the electrons, so that we're stabilizing our own energy matrix a little bit there, so that real need to ground can come in. So when we're down here, now we're reaching down, aren't we? There's an active movement downwards. And I see this as being almost like the unseen forces now. They're in the place of action, and we're in the place of receiving, where we are the place of silence. And this energy is rising from the deeps. So this is an invitation to open those gateways wide, to do oracle work, to do seed work, to allow the energies that want to rise to come forward, to go out into nature and to receive from the waters directly. To release as well might come through as well. It might be that there's something that needs to come through from your subconscious mind that needs to come up and be released, like limiting beliefs, ancestral patterns of behavior. And I've got some lovely things going on here. So Maggie's saying, I see it as a movement beneath, like a duck licking their leg. Is that one? Is that one? I don't know, but I love that little duck licking their legs. And Suki's saying, I don't see it as a negative. It looks like a tick. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? There's a little bit of a tick. There's a little bit, yes. So again, if you were to look at this in terms of bright staves and murk staves, you would say terribleness. No, this is awful. Whereas for me, again, there might be positives and there might be negatives. It might be saying, the unseen world wants to speak to you, wants you to open to possibility. Or it might be there's some like icky old energies waiting to be released, waiting to rise up to the surface so that you can work with them and let go of them. Maggie's put kicking there. And actually, it can be a little bit like that, can't it, as well? Because ball's yours now. What are you going to do with it? Something comes up, it's unexpected. How do you respond to it in the moment? So I see this as being like healing opportunity. This might be I'm in the healing and it's wonderful and it's delicious and the water's flowing around me, and this is the dark water calling to you now. Come and see what's there. Tackling the shadow is another way that you might look at it. And Kirsty said like the energy of the tower. And I can feel that a little bit. And maybe the Tower card, sometimes the Laguz rune could resonate with the Tower card. I tend to find it Hagalaz. So if you had the Hagalaz rune and this rune together, you could certainly feel the energy of the Tower coming through, of these sort of unseen worlds opening and saying, change is coming. Like the crashing waterfall might come there. And almost like the water's coming down and then it's crashing down at the bottom. That roaring sound could be like that. But Laguz on its own tends to be a little bit less sort of in your face. It's a little bit more have you even noticed that you're in this like dark, swampy energy, and that there's a, you know, a shadow being that might actually be you waiting to speak to you? And Esther saying it reminds me of a hook when upside down. Yes, there's also a sense of us fishing, isn't it? We know we're fishing down, going into the depths, and then we're drawing up. But where is it? This one might be like the treasures, the lovely fish, you know, the realm of Njord, for example. This one's more likely to be the realms of Hela, or the places of death and renewal and regeneration that we would be looking at there. And Lisa says you won't catch anything if you don't cast the hook. Absolutely correct, Lisa. And I think that is important for the Laguz rune as well, is that it does require us to take action, even if it's the decision to, I decide to rest, I decide to be fully in the water, I decide to make that crossing from who I am now to who I could be, I decide to go and do that drum journey that I've been putting off, or that meditation that I've been putting off, or to go and work with that deity who keeps popping up and I don't really want to know because I think they're going to tell me stuff that I might not be ready for. You know, it's that sort of thing that can come through with Laguz. Okay, so we've got this one, the unseen forces are available for us to work with, but I see it as the possibility of power. There is also absolutely the possibility that we just go, la la la, I can't see nothing, and then that might come and bite you on the bum at some point in the future. You know, the spirits of water aren't going to put up with that for a very long time, and maybe that Laguz energy will at some point transform into the Harglaz energy, you know, if we don't pay attention and work with the invitations that the Laguz rune is offering to us. And then we've got this one here. So here, this one actually for me is the one that I find the most uncomfortable. So whereas we've got it this way, it feels sort of restful and we're leaning into the earth. And like you said, like that grounding energy people have talked about. This way up, I'm not going to lie, it sort of looks a little bit like somebody is like laying down to die, doesn't it? Oh, I'm going now. Bye. You know, there's something very rigid and stiff about this one for me. That's how I feel. It feels uncomfortable to me. It feels as if there's no force behind this energy. It's like almost if you imagine this as a person lying down. So you've got your normally vertical stave is now lying flat, and your little flick is reaching up into the air, but it's not holding on to, and it's just going, oh, help me, help me. There's a little bit of victim energy going on there, I think, as well, a little bit. Like I said, there's like no force behind the energy, and for me, when this one comes up, it can suggest rest, but it's sort of saying you need to wait. There's a patience and there's a waiting and there's like a looking for fuel. Like you need an energy source is what I see. So whereas the other one is almost saying when it's lying down like this, it's almost like the energy has been flowing through you really fast. The water's been flowing really fast, and now you need to ground that and receive and become and replenish again. This one is saying, no, don't reach too soon. Wait to find your energy source. You might need a partner to help you with this, or you might need to do devotional work to a deity as a guide, that they're not going to show up and say, hi, I'm here for you. This is one where it's saying, no, there's an asking for that comes here. And there's a little bit of helplessness, which I personally find a bit difficult. I'm like, oh, I don't like this one. So this is the one for me that I feel more uncomfortable with. Maggie's saying like a dam or a barrier to the flow. Yes, that's how it feels to me. It feels like that to me. Almost like the water can't move because this little bit here is stopping it. So the tide's not going in or out. And we might need to do some clearing of blocks that are stopping us from receiving the energy that we need. The other thing for me is that this is like a little bit like that reminder not to try and move too fast. There's little vulnerable shoots of ideas and possibilities that we might have in our minds. This is like a plant that hasn't rooted first. It hasn't found its energy source first. It's just reaching up straight away, and it's going to get trampled. It's going to get trampled. You know, and it's those things. It's looking at, okay, so where am I in victim right now? Where am I not tapping into resources that might be available to me? Where might I need to do some release work that's sort of different to this release work, which is like an invitation into life? You know, there's something new here. This is more like it's more like sort of emotional hygiene work of I'm really stuck. I need to get unstuck. That's the greatest hope here, is just to get unstuck so that you can go and find your energy. So that's where I go with this rune for me. And as I've touched upon, and people have mentioned this, a reading with all of your runes, when you know your runes well and you're able to say, okay, instinctively that feels like this to me, or that feels like that to me, you might then take another rune here on your cloth, and it's sort of up there. And if your Thurisaz rune is sitting up on top there, very different to if it's down below there, or if it's sort of pointing in this direction. So you start to get some very nuanced readings, different stories being woven by your runes for you, which is why rune reading is so awesome. Okay, now I said that obviously you can also turn your rune any of these ways. And if I just do this really slowly, you can see how it really changes. If you know your basic foundational knowledge, your sage knowledge about your rune, then your seer and your mystic and your healer and your magician can start to work with your rune in multifarious ways. I mean, look at that one. That's almost, to me, it's like it's tipping. It's like the water sort of, it's pouring and cascading. It's very difficult for me trying to work on the screen, which my finger's going for you on this one. This way, there we go, down there. So you can start, and it brings other insights for you with these runes as you move them. So this is what it means. This is the art of rune reading, is to go from, okay, my foundational knowledge, start here. Don't try and do all of those subtle nuanced bits until you're like, this for me is what Laguz means. This is how I experience it. And we're going to do a little bit of work on that in a moment. So that's our little bit of a feeling into the Laguz rune, and a taster for you as well, for those of you who haven't done the Awaken program, of what we do on our seership sessions, in the teachings on the seership sessions. So anybody else got anything else? No, I've got some big hearts in the chat box. Good. Have a play. Play with your runes. This is how we move from being the sage who is reading in a book what the runes mean, to being a seer, where the runes are speaking actively to us. And literally, like the Laguz flow, it feels like water coming from our mouths in the moment, responding to what our runes have to say for us. So I asked you at the very beginning to get yourself a glass of water. So if you have your glass of water, well done you. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to teach you a technique. You can use it as many times as you like. I hope it's a really powerful technique, which I love to work with. And so you can do this as much as you like. But if you have your water, how many of you know about the theory of the memory of water? I'm imagining that quite a few people do, but the theory goes that water picks up on emotions and meaning, that the energy of water is subtly shifted by what's happening around it. And they've done this with experiments, and they've taken two jars of water, same water source, done all of the same things, and one of them they've either spoken or they've written not very nice, unkind, swear words, violent words, things like that, and they've either spoken them into the water or they've written them and put them around the jar that the water is there for, and the other they've done kind words, words of love, words of affection, and the one water goes murky and disgusting, and the other one becomes crystalline and beautiful. And that's a very, very short summary of essentially what the memory of water research shows. And water is an ancient substance. I mean, my mind boggles. It's as old as our solar system. Some of it is older. It's in you right now. You are an ancient being. Now, water is so linked with our seer self. You might actually think about the water that's in your body as being the part of you that is responding to the outside world when you do readings. So okay, I'm reading the Laguz rune, and I am responding energetically to what I see. Okay, now I'm feeling this life force energy building up like a geyser, ready to explode. That's what I'm feeling right now, and I feel it in my body, and I can feel the joy, and my heart's opening, my third eye's opening, and it's like, yes, this is wonderful. And then I get to this one, which I don't like, and I can feel my heart closing, and my tongue is going up to touch the roof of my mouth, and my jaw's tightening ever so slightly. And I always think about this as being, this is almost like the water in my body is giving me information, or it's responding to the energy that the rune is speaking to me. Rune mal means rune speech. So the water is responding, and I'm picking up on that. It's a theory, can't prove it, but I like it as a theory. If you work on that basis and you say, okay, my seer self and your healer as well, both of them are deeply receptive, you know, to what's happening around them, are going to be continually affected by the energy that is around you all of the time, just like the glass of water. Okay, so what we are going to do for our celebration piece, because we're here at the waning moon, this is when I do a celebration piece, but you can use this at any point, is I'm going to invite you to take your water now. I'm just going to take a moment and I'm going to invite you to, if you can either stand, you can be standing, you can be seated, just hold your water a little bit. In fact, no, I tell a lie, put your water down and just shake out your hands for a minute, because we've done quite a lot of feeling into different energies. So just give your body a little bit of a jiggle and a wiggle, as if you're jelly. No, just to get all of that out, anything that you've been thinking about, feeling about, we're just going to get that out first, because we don't want to give that to our lovely water glass, do we? So just shaking that out, almost imagining that you've got droplets of water that you're shaking off of your hands there. Okay, so shake that out, and then I'm going to invite you to, whether you're seated or whether you're standing, imagine, just as we've done like the little plant, that we're sending our roots down into the earth, and they're just feeling down, and they know where the nourishment is, and they know where the water is, and they're reaching down towards the water source, and when they feel it, they go, ah, they just start to draw that in. They start to draw that energy into your body. Now, that energy of earth and that energy of water, just feeling it come up through the soles of your feet and up through your legs, into the pelvic bowl, up into your lungs. Just breathing that in, down the arms, all the way down to the fingers again, so that if you were to shake your fingers now, you would have lovely, tingly, beautiful, crystalline drops of water coming out of your fingers there. Up into the neck and the back of the head. Got a little energy centre there at the back of the head called the Well of Dreams. Oh, what's in your Well of Dreams right now? Okay. Thinking about the Well of Dreams. Just taking a moment, and you can do this holding your water, or you can leave your water next to you for a moment, whichever feels right to you. I'm going to invite you now just to close your eyes and to connect in with a memory. And I want you to connect in with a memory that makes you feel really, really good. So for me, when I did this, I connected in with the scent of lilac blossoms. I have a lilac tree that I planted in my front garden many years ago now, and it started flowering 2 years ago. And every time it reminds me at this time of year of the lilac trees that were in my parents' garden. It's my birthday coming up on Saturday. And it reminds me of the parties I used to have as a child, and the lilacs were always out, and my mum would cut them, and they'd be on the table, and they would smell so delicious. And I got my friends around me, and we'd have a party in the garden. My mum used to put the tent up, and there was the cake, and find your memory. Just feeling into that well of dreams and feeling the water moving through you. It doesn't have to be a big memory, but it's a memory that opens to you. Feel into what you can see, what you can hear, what you can feel, what you can smell. Allow that memory to move through your body as if it's rippling like the water through your being. Okay, and if you haven't got your glass of water yet, now is the time to pick it up. And this memory is just shimmering brightly through your energy body. I want you to deepen into that memory even more completely, even more fully. Imagine yourself in that moment and the way that you felt. And as you do so, just allow the barrier between your skin and your glass or your cup just to dissolve ever so slightly, remembering that all physical matter is still vibrating tiny, tiny atoms and quarks and electrons and all sorts of things. There's plenty of space for the energy of this memory that's now filling your body to start to fill your glass. You're offering this memory to the water that you're holding in your glass right now. You see that memory filling your glass right now, filling the sights, the smell, the sounds, and the feelings and the sensations, filling your glass. And now just taking a moment to reconnect with those roots that we sent down into the earth, and allowing that deep water energy, that deep earth energy to flow up through you again, bringing that strength with it. Bringing that strength, almost like the spirit of water itself now greeting you and embracing this memory. And I'm going to invite you now to trace the symbol of the Laguz rune over your water. And you can say Laguz, 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 Laguz. If you've done Awaken with me, there's lots of other things we can do. Who knows, we might do this in the Rune Magics Masterclass tomorrow, but you can do your Galdra work, your voice work, to charge your glass, this wonderful Laguz energy. Feeling the energy of your memory connecting with the water. Until the water has received this memory. It's still in you. This memory is still in you. It's still in your heart. But it's also in the water now. Laguz, Laguz, Laguz. And now I'm going to invite you to drink the water. Oh, I don't know why, but it just tastes particularly good. And you can keep taking some sips of your water, just knowing that when you do that, you're receiving that memory again. It's filling you. And it's being carried by the water. We've offered that to us, and as the water carries on flowing through our bodies, entering and exiting, now that's what we want to be giving to the water. We want to be receiving from the water those positive, joyful memories, and recognizing that often our role as seers is to say, Laguz rune's off right now. This is not right in the world. This needs to change. But we don't need to be in that energy all of the time. We can work with the energy of Laguz to change our own state and to change the state of the water that's flowing through us as well. It's a lovely little simple technique there to change your energy state and to change the energy state of the water that's in your body. And it will carry that memory with it as it passes through, just as in the Northern tradition, all of our memories rejoin the collective consciousness, the well of weird, when they flow back down. Okay, so that's our little bit of celebration and magic. And you can do that as many times as you like. You could do it every day. Just connecting with a memory of the day. And I'm looking out at the sun right now and seeing I've got some like bleeding hearts that have just come open. It's a little flower there. I love them. You can tell that garden is important to me. Sun rune in Laguz, that's what it is. Okay, so that's our magical technique for your seer self, to bring yourself back into a place of positive vibration where all of the energy is exactly where it's supposed to be, and you're not full of whatever it is that you've received from the outside world. So what I'm going to invite you to do now, we're just going to do a little bit of a meditation to finish up. So that's about filling with the positive Laguz energy. We can also do a little bit of connecting in with the energy of the time of year. Suki, I'm glad that you love my hair colour. I love it too. And so for this piece, you can be seated or you can lie down. And we're going to connect in now with that moving, flowing energy of water. Okay, we're just going to do a short meditation. It's not a short one, it's not a long one. It'll be, in longer sessions we can do this for a longer period of time, and again use the Laguz power song, which I use in the Rune Healing Masterclass quite a lot. So just make yourself comfortable. If you need an extra blanket, you can get an extra blanket. And we're in that position here now, in that position of, not that one, dear me, of receiving. We're just going to be receiving from the water now. We've given to the water, we've given our memory to the water. We've done a little bit of positive work with the energy of water. Now we're going to receive from the spirit of water itself. So making yourself comfortable, and if it feels good, just open your mouth ever so slightly so that you're breathing in through your nose And out through your mouth. In through your nose like the tide coming in, and out through your mouth like the tide moving out. Just feeling the rise and fall of your lungs, not straining them, not pushing them, not trying to force any more air in or out, just noticing. And allowing yourself to move inside into the realm of your seer, this sensitive, instinctive, intuitive, deeply perceiving part of you. Is simply receiving in this time. Noticing the rise and fall of the lungs, your own inner tide. Moving inwards deeper and deeper into your own stillness and your own silence and your own depths. And as you breathe in, noticing a tickling sensation at your toes, like the incoming tide of water. So you're lying on a beach and the water's just very gently climbing the beach now, and it's just touching your toes. Spirit of water, soft and strong and mischievous and wise and powerful and vast. It very gently touches your feet and then it withdraws. And then again, as you breathe in, just moves a little bit further up. Your feet may be touching now the soles of your feet and your heels. And then as you breathe out, it releases back down. And as you breathe in, it starts to wash just underneath your ankles and calves now. It's very, very gentle. And you notice the temperature of the water. Is it cool or has it got that warmth to it? And it's almost as if your feet now are blending with the water. And the water's not quite receding down beyond them now as it climbs up underneath the back of your knees, under the thighs. As you breathe in, the water's just caressing your skin very gently, and you can feel that spirit of water connecting with the water inside your body. And the water that's inside your body now, you can feel the way it joins the rhythm of the sea, which is also the rhythm of your breath. And it begins to send down to the incoming tide as you breathe out, and as that incoming tide just recedes, each wave flowing back to the sea. Just sends anything that's not yours, anything that you've picked up during the month past, or anything that was yours and is now ready to be released, anything that you've taken on through the course of the month, any events or challenges or lots of energetic shifts going on, just saying, I'm ready to release whatever I don't need so that I can step into the energy of the month to come. Almost like the water is filling you, as if you are a shallow bowl or a shell, and in the very base of that bowl or shell there are tiny, tiny little shards of sand, little bits of grit, dirt. And as the water comes in, it lifts that dirt up, that grit up, and it just floats very gently, and then it begins to wash back downwards. And the tide's now up under the small of your back. And you can feel it playing on your fingers, washing the palms of your hands, like your hands now are also part of that shallow bowl, that shell, and they're just releasing as the tide moves outwards, moves back in under your shoulders now. The back of the neck, connecting with the whirl of dreams. And it might be that here the water joins with old old memories, old events that have been slowly loosening through the course of the month that has passed. It was healing work that you've done for yourself. Perhaps things that you're not even aware of, that you have been dreaming of while you sleep. And the water connects with these and just says, let me take that from you now. Nothing is lost. It's just moving back out into the space of the collective consciousness so that you can walk more lightly, more freely, knowing that you have been shaped and changed already by the forces, the stories that have moved through you, but you don't need to hold on to them. Just feeling the tide washing now, just the shell of your ears. Maybe your hair's being lifted a little bit by the water as it flows around you. And if there was a bird, a gull flying over you now, they would just see you surrounded by the silver water, peaceful, just breathing with the rhythm of the water that's reached its highest point now. Very slowly, the tide begins to turn. So you breathe out, and when you breathe in, it comes just not quite as high now, back to the well of dreams. Each time you breathe out, that tide's getting a little bit lower, moving back down, carrying with it everything that you don't need, everything that's not yours, everything that's ready to return to the great tapestry of being, woven into time and space, but not into you. Down to the small of the back, and the thighs, backs of the knees, the calves, and as that tide recedes, just feeling the thin shell of your skin reforming around you, feeling yourself connected not just to the water but also to the earth. There is star stuff within you, but your bones are of the earth. Feel the strength in your muscles, the pulsing of your blood through your body, the life force that is within you. Feel now your heart beating, that drum of life beating within you. And my invitation to you is to take your time now to come back into the present moment, and you can drink the rest of your water if you have it to hand. You can go outside if you can, or take your shoes off so that you can do a bit of grounding work. We're going to be doing a lot more rune magics tomorrow in the Rune Magics Masterclass, but I hope that you have enjoyed this work with Laguz and these two techniques that I have shared with you for blessing the water in your body and for releasing with the feel of the tide. It has been lovely to see all of you who are here with me live. If you are catching up with the replay, please do let me know how that landed with you, what the feeling was of connecting with Laguz in this way. Love and blessings to you all. Be gentle with yourself. Let yourself ground and give yourself that permission to be just a little bit slow so that your rune can move from lying down back to upright. If you are lying down, when you get up, do roll over from your side. Don't sort of lever yourself up and come up straight away. Give the water in your body time to settle. You take care. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, Christy, and Esther and Suki as well. Take care. Love and blessings, everybody.